So let's get started. So first of all, I've kind of planned out my designs here. I'm going to give you a quick run over how I did this. I'm using Canva purely because if I dive straight into Design Space, a lot of people may not have these fonts, but you can easily do this in Design Space. Let me quickly show you how I do this, okay? So I'm going to do a new window and I'm going to do Canva. And I do really enjoy Canva purely because it's just so easy to use, and you've got pretty much, apart from offset, you have pretty much every single other thing that you can do with it. So I'm going to create a design, and I'm just going to pop my face down here. I'm going to do custom size. You're going to change this to inches, and I like to do 12 by 12 because it's just what Cricut uses, so you can do whatever you like. I am going to make this a little bit easy for everybody so that you can kind of see one screen next to the other. Okay, so this is what we are going to create. Move that over here, and I'm on my laptop here, so it's probably easier if you have a bigger screen, but that's okay. We can deal with that. So first of all, I'm going to make this the same size as what I want to do. So I'm going to make one of our blank door signs. So the girls next week are going to actually make this for you. So I'm going to show you how to design it, and then next week they're going to show you how they're actually going to make it using our different vinyls. So the size of this, I always like to look at the sizes that we have here. So I want to make it 30 centimeters by 14 centimeters. So I'm going to, in Canva Pro, you can resize your canvas. So I always start off with my 12 by 12, but you can start off by doing it whatever you like. And this is a nice little trick for you. So it's in millimeters, so don't forget to put the extra zeros. If you are doing centimeters, that will just go in like that. I'm just going to do resize. Okay, cool. So that's first step done. Then I know that the font that I've picked here, and honestly, people spend hours choosing fonts. So that is going to be, I'll just quickly copy it over because otherwise it takes a bit. But if you highlight over it, up here is where all the different fonts are. So you can go ahead and choose a bunch of different fonts. There's like thousands of fonts that you can choose in Canva, which is why I like to use it for you guys. You don't have to try and download fonts and try and find them, and best of all, you don't have to pay, I think it's like $7 or $8 for Cricut to use the font one time or whatever. But fonts, when you use it in the Cricut software, it gets very, very expensive when you can just do it for free. So I always like to do it for free if you can. So again, I have got this font here. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in. Okay, so what I've done here, I've gone a little bit too tricky. Get rid of that. Oh, get rid of that. Okay. So this font here is Halimum. Okay, so if I was doing that from scratch, I would just click text, and I'm going to search for Halimum. There you go. And you click that, and it automatically loads into your canvas. Okay, so you can then type in whatever you want. Now I have typed in Love by Jamie, Connor and Jacob. And so with this, I've just basically put in a whole bunch of spaces. Okay, so that's how you do that. And And what else have I got? I've got little love hearts here too. So if you go to elements are really, really great. So I have talked about this in the last Facebook Live. And so you can do lines and shapes and graphics and stickers and photos and videos and audio, all sorts of things. The thing about Canva is the more you get used to it, the more you get to understand how to kind of look for things, and it's unbelievable when you do actually really get the hang of it. So for me, I'm just going to look for heart, and then I type that in and press return, and then a whole bunch of things comes up. Now you can see there's photographs, there's little animations. You don't want any of those. They're not going to be useful for what we want to do, which is creating an SVG. I'm going to go to graphics, and in here I like to go to filters, and I like to do static, and I click apply filter, and then a bunch of different shapes comes up. Now they go on and on and on and on. You can look for ages, but for me, I think I just picked this one, so I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag it over, and then you can see that it goes here. Now if you want this at the top, if you click position and go forwards, it goes there, and I can just zoom in. So by pressing command and plus, hopefully everyone is following along with me. I can't really do, because I'm doing this by myself, I can't really look at your comments and also look at my screen. So just type away and comment below and say hi. And if you have any questions, I may not be able to get to it today because I don't want to be taking ages looking at the screen, but I will certainly help you the next time, or I will answer you later on. So I always love to hear from people, so please say hello. And so I want to get this now, and I want to paste it over here. So I can just do this. Now my favorite shortcut is Command C and Command V. And oh, sorry, that has selected the wrong thing. So you need to make sure that you have the right kind of layer. So I'm going to select both of these by clicking this and then holding shift, and you select the two and you position and go backwards. If anyone's just late joining us, we're just in Canva having a little look at how I set things up in Canva, and then I'm going to be jumping over to design space. So if you're watching this maybe tomorrow or another day, you can just skip forward if you don't want to look at this Canva. So I've got my two dogs here. If you hear a little bit of one of them is having a little dream, I think. She's having a little barking session. So I'm going to select the color here, and I'm going to change that to black. And do you want to have a little look at them? There they are. I wish I could have their life. They have a wonderful life. Does anybody have dogs at home? I'm guessing some of you do. All right, so I've got 3 kids here. So we've got Grandma, which is obviously the main person that we're going to be gifting this to, and then I've got all of her grandchildren's names. So I've got Love by Jamie, Connor and Jacob. So she's going to really love this. It's going to be very cute. This is the size of the canvas, is the size of my door sign. And then what else did we need to do? The thing is, because this door sign is quite tall, so it depends on what you want to do. If you want to use our door signs, you can, but you might find a piece of wood or something that's like long and skinny, and you can just adjust this to be whatever you like. But because I'm going to use our door signs, I'm going to make use of this nice top space, and I'm going to, I'll just show you actually, this is what it will eventually hopefully look like, fingers crossed. It will hopefully, I'll just close that, look like, don't see that. It's going to look, we're going to have one like this, and we're going to have one like this. So you're going to get to see one where we use our pattern vinyl, and one where we use our super duper glitter and chrome vinyl. So the one I'm going to make here now is the one here with this gorgeous new Mother's Day pattern that we've got. It's one of my favorites. So if we go back to that, I then need to just get these panels. Now I've already designed these beforehand just because I didn't want to have to take ages to show you all everything, because I know you're all busy and you want to probably get on and watch a movie tonight or something else, and I'm very grateful that you're all here with me going through this, which is great. But we can all relax on a Friday night and have a glass of wine. I hope you are having a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever it is that you like. Okay, so we're pretty much done here. I'm going to quickly, it's basically the same thing for this next one, but the only thing that I've done differently, and I'll just show you, I'll just copy this. So how I like to do a lot of these kinds of designs is, especially if it's going to be the same blank, I'll just add a page, which is nice and handy. You don't have to have loads of different documents and everything. So I've just pasted that in, and it's the same font. So the way I've done this is that this is a very long name and then this is a very short name. And so to try and help you to figure out, if you don't have a grandma, if you have an oma or a nan or a nanny or whatever you want to do, or you might do this as mum, you can kind of do both of these. So it's nice and handy. So I've also, because this font is very thin, now I haven't actually tested it, so it might be quite a tricky font to do, but I really liked it and I really wanted to have a go. So I thought to make sure that we have a good chance of our Facebook Live actually going well, I thought I would do a thicker font. And so this font here is going to have a much bigger possibility of actually working quite well. So with this one, I'm going to do this for Naomi's going to make this, and her kids are Logan, Ash and Peggy. And so this font is Apricots. And so all of these fonts are in Canva. So you just go ahead, find it, and you'll have no problem. And just to reiterate, this one is actually called DM Serif Display. And we'll put those into the Facebook Live down below in the comments. Okay, so basically the reason why I did these as just skinny little top things is because I wanted the nan to be a lot bigger. So when you're dealing with fonts and typography, it all depends on the word that you want to use. Doing it all in capitals makes it a bit more structured, so it's a bit more solid, and even though this name is going to be over it, because it's so in big capital letters, you'll still be able to know that it's grandma and nan. So it's going to be still pretty easy. Now, we are done in here. You can, of course, make any adjustments that you want to do, whatever you want. It's amazing what you can do in Canva. But I'm going to show you now how to export from here. And I'm going to do grandma SVG signs. So up here you can name your design to be whatever you like. You can save it, you can organize it, you can share it with your friends. So I'm going to download it. So I'm going to go to share and I'm going to go download. And if there's anything that I am skipping over, or I'm doing anything that's a bit like you're so confused, please do let me know, because I want to try and do my very best to help you. So if there's anything that you'd like the next time even that I explain a little bit more, please just let me know and I will do my very best to help. I'm going to do this one at a time. So I'm going to do in here, you can see that there's page 1 and page 2. I'm going to click done. I just want page 1. Makes it a bit easier, otherwise it'll zip it and then get into all sorts of problems. Now, come on, let's do that. Download. Now, you've seen I've just done an SVG. An SVG is basically what Canva and all the kind of cutting software, they all use SVGs to cut in their cutting machines, and that's all it is. And it basically means that it kind of like scales up and down. So if you didn't have, what I will also do is I'll save one of these out as a PNG, and you'll see how, because a lot of people, if you don't have the Pro account, you will have to save it out as a PNG. Now, the problem with that is that you are relying on, come on, hold on a second, I'll just put that up there. Yeah, you're relying on, you are relying on Cricut to then outline and everything. And if you are going to go down that path, honestly, don't do this in Cricut. Do it in Design Space. Figure out what font that you have in your system, because you don't want to bring in fonts from Canva into Design Space if they're not an SVG. You're not going to be liking it. Cricut is going to do some really horrible stuff to it. And so if we have time later on, I can show you what happens there. But I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. Now, we are in Cricut Design Space. Hooray! And you get to this page when you first load it up. I'm guessing the majority of you have at least tried to go in and do a new project. So fingers crossed that is correct. Down here, you can see I've already actually done a little play. I always like to try and do stuff before I try and teach you guys, to make sure that everything is going to run as smoothly as possible. So I've got a big blank canvas. It's a bit scary. Don't be scared. One of the things that actually because I had a little look at how other people teach how to do this. So a lot of people call it a knockout design. There's lots of the terms for it. This grandma kind of design is massive in all the crafting groups. So I'm sure that you have seen it before. If you haven't, it's actually going to be a really impressive project to make, and it's not that difficult. So don't be scared. If you do look at this and you're like, oh, remember, we're going to actually be doing this. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller. We are going to be having this saved on our group, so you can watch it over and over and over. You can stop, pause, look, rewind, do it again until you see exactly what it is that I've just done. And remember, I've actually been doing this for nearly over 20 years. So I have been doing design work for a very, very long time. So if I do make it easy, that's probably why. Okay, so I'm in a brand new canvas. If I want to be very organized, I can use this templates, and I've actually only found this today, which is kind of cool. And that's the great thing about crafting, is that you always learn something new. So I want to go to basic, and what I want to do is I want to tell Cricut that, so see, templates are for references and won't be saved with your project. Okay, and that ends up being down here. And then I want to say I want it to be custom. And so what I want to do is I want to basically say that I want to make the door sign, and I want to unlock it because I don't want it to be square. And I know that it's 30 centimeters and I know it's 14 centimeters high. And I can change the color to be, say I'm just going to do grey. And then it should, hopefully. Hopefully it should be here. It was here earlier. Now, if it doesn't, there you go. Sometimes with Cricut, you do have to zoom in and out a little bit. It does have a mind of its own. One of the things I think most people get confused about is that it automatically kind of like goes into a really small mode. So just be mindful of this kind of zoomed in percentage. So go up here. Now I'm going to be able to see, this is my door sign, okay? So it kind of just helps you to understand where your grid is and where the measurements are. If you ever want to change any of this, you just go to settings, and here you can change to be partial grid, no grid, If you want inches, if you want centimeters, I'll go with the partial grid. Full grid is also actually pretty good. So let's just stick with that. Okay, so now I am going to upload my design. Now remember, you are best to only upload SVGs if you possibly can. Sometimes SVGs don't work for whatever reason, and then your kind of like your backup is to do a PNG. But PNGs aren't brilliant, and hopefully at the end of this I can show you why they're not brilliant. So now it loads in here, and then I select it and then add to canvas. That's one of the trickiest parts. So we are nearly there. Okay, now it starts getting a little bit confusing and you start seeing all of these things coming in. Don't get terrified. It's basically grouped. Can you see up here? So if I bring it down, so because it's grouped, I can bring it all down in one go. And it is pretty much, it should be pretty much perfectly sized. Lovely. Now, the way to do Cricut in Design Space is you just have to get your head around it. So don't get scared of it. Okay, it's all grouped. So I'm going to ungroup it first of all. Number one. Okay, and it might take a little bit of time. No, ungroup. Come on, you can do it. There we go. It's ungrouped. Now I can start to select things individually. It also means I can just go all the way down, and I always know with oh no, it's so funny, isn't it? Sometimes, oh no, there you are. Yeah. So basically, when you bring something in from Canva over to Cricut, it always has these like back things, like canvases. So you can just select that entire group and you can go delete. Now I want to highlight over these letters. Now I can go here and I can individually click them. That's a little bit long for me, so you can also highlight over, and now it automatically selects them. Can you see these are all your layers on the right hand side? And so whatever is at the bottom is the things that, kind of like if you think of tracing paper, whatever is at the bottom is here, and then you've got another layer here, and then you've got another layer and layer and layer and layer. So what's at the top is the thing that you're going to see the most. What's at the bottom is the thing that will probably be hidden if the thing on the top is too big. Okay? But if the thing on the top is just little, like my my hands here, then you're going to start seeing it. Okay? So it is confusing. So don't worry if you get totally confused by it. But what I like to do to try and organize these is you can either group it, okay? So I can do that. And then the group goes up here. Or if I absolutely know I don't have to move this at all, I can get that group and I can weld it. Now, Naomi was actually asking me the other day, she always gets confused, and she knows a lot of other crafters get confused by when do you weld it, when do you just group it? Well, pretty much welding is like when you know that you're never going to move it again, it's a really great way of like kind of super gluing it together. It can't ever move. It's also really important if you have a script font, it has to be welded. Otherwise, all those cut marks end up getting cut in your Cricut, and you don't want that. But I like to just weld because I know I'm done with it, it's fine, and I know that I'm going to be cutting through. So if you have to cut through, it has to be welded. Now, I can see this little eye. I can turn that off. Now, the thing I like about that is that now it's removed. I don't have to look at it. My head isn't getting confused, especially on a Friday night, and we've had a very long week. Now with this, what I can do now is I can just hover over, and then instead of me having to multiple click all these different things, I can just hover over, and now I can either, again, I can group it, but for me, I'm really happy with the placement of everything. All my fonts look perfect. I don't have to change anything. So I'm just going to weld. Now look at this, it magically goes into these beautiful organized layers. You can't get much better. But you'll notice I've got some groups down here. Now they are not actually holding anything. So I can just go ahead and tidy those up by highlighting and holding Shift while I click, and that groups them all together. I'm going to just delete because I don't need them. Now we can turn this little eye back on, and then we've got this beautiful thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this so that if anything happens, it's going to be in here. Grandma sign. Okay, and I'm going to save. Now the next part is deciding I'm going to offset this. Okay, now offset, if you're new to Cricut, you may be wondering what on earth does she mean by that. Let me show you. It's basically making an outline around the entire thing. So if I go back to this, what I'm going to be doing here, so you can know that you want to do this too, is, do you see this white border around it? And why people do that is that if you just put the navy on top of the pink, it would be fine, but it might be a little bit hard to read. And so doing this knockout or offset design on top of it allows the skinny writing to kind of pop out a little bit more. And you can do this with anything, like it's totally up to you. But Cricut really is the best to do offset in. There are, if you have an iPad or if you have an iPhone, unfortunately the Cricut apps, they don't, as far as I know, they still don't have the offset feature, which is an absolute pain. But you can get around it by using an app like, I think it's called Fonto or something. I have tried it earlier. It wasn't that great, to be honest with you. It looks like it's just, you only get it as a PNG, which then you'll have to do that whole importing in. So it's a little tricky. If you wait till the end of this tutorial, I will show you how you can do another look for this. So if you are on your iPad and you don't have access to a computer, like a desktop computer, then you can do a thing where you can split the name, and you'll see that in some of the crafter groups too, and that does look pretty good. But let's keep going with this. So I've saved my sign, so now it's called Grandma Sign, and I'm selecting this. Now you can see it here, so if I hide the little eye and reveal it, you'll see it there. So I'll select it, and you can see every time I select something, it's a darker grey. Now I'm going to go to the fun part. Now I know, because I did this earlier, Cricut doesn't like this. So it's, see this little green bit up here? It's going to take quite a while to do. So the good thing is, the thing I kind of would like to even teach you is that you can actually make another window. So while you're waiting for Cricut to have its little hissy fit, you can do a new window. So this is cool if you have multiple projects, you're cutting a whole bunch and you want to be a bit like you're a bit of a multitasker, as most women are. You can do a new project while you wait. So that's what I'm going to do. How cool is this? Now the thing that gets really confusing is if you don't make your screens like this, there's no real way of actually seeing where all your windows are, which is really nuts. Why does that happen? Cricut, you probably need to do a view all windows, but this is how you do it. So you basically have one window is here, another window is there, so you can toggle between them by doing that. You can see it's still waiting. You can see a little green thing going there. It is a bit of a complicated design, so we won't blame Cricut too much. So I'm going to do the other design while we're waiting for that one to do. And I'm going to have a little water. Alrighty, here we go. Friday night. Okay, upload image. Browse. None. And hopefully everybody will learn something new here. So even if you're a beginner, I'm sure your mind is exploding. Don't worry. But even if you're an advanced user and you've used Cricut heaps and heaps, there's hopefully one or two things that you might come away with here. And as always, we love to learn from each other. So I'm sure there's plenty of other things that you can teach me at the same time. So you can see it's still loading there. So you probably would have made a cup of tea and everything else while you're still waiting. I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller again. All right. So now we've got a new design. So same thing, okay? It does look scary, but don't be too worried. It's not too bad, okay? It does look terrifying. I will give you that. But really, it's the same thing. So first of all, let's go down here and let's get rid of those things. And the main reason why it looks so scary is just that there are so many fonts in here. So if you did actually design this in Design Space, it would be probably easier. But just for ease of use, I just want you all to be able to use whatever fonts we show you, because that's always the biggest question. Where's that font? How do I get that font? And I can just go to you can just go to Canva and just get it. It's easy. So what I've done there is I've just ungrouped the whole design. I've selected Nan, okay, and that you can see over here, it's all the dark grays are there. So I'm going to do weld, and then I'm going to hide that so that I can get all the black ones. So hide that, move up here, highlight over. So you remember the trick of you don't want to have to select all of these, which actually in the last live I forgot that you could do that. And just actually before we do that, I might just quickly show you very quickly. I'll just zoom in. If you do have any issues with any of your fonts not kind of merging perfectly, you can, the thing I love about Design Space is that they're all individual. So you can select on each little guy and just hoosh it over a tiny bit. You might have a little one here that's just go over just a tad. And I'm a bit fussy, so you don't have to worry as much as I would be. Yeah, so you can do whatever you want. If you wanted to, say for example, make one of the letters a bit bigger, you could do that. Whatever tickles your fancy. You've got the zoom in and out here. Okay. And we're getting to 9:06. It's amazing how I literally could do this. I love doing this all night long. My husband has warned me that I better not be here till midnight. So I will try and finish up soon. Okay, so you could group it, but we were going to weld it because I'm very happy with how this is all looking. If you wanted to, you could make these love hearts a different color. I'm just going to try and keep it simple for you guys. Now you can see that we've got all these layers are now lovely and tidy. I'm going to delete those too. It's funny, I always go up here and down here. I wish they kind of like do all of their things just up at the top so that you don't have to keep going up and down to find whatever it is that you think that you need. I'm going to put my eye back on. Now with this one, I think it looks like that green bar has stopped, so we can go back over there. I'm going to get this basic cut, so you can see up here. Select it, and I'm going to offset this. Now this is a bit of an easier font, so this for some reason Cricut finds it easier. So with the offset, this is my little offset. So this is the part that you can make thicker. or thinner. So I like to do around 0.25 centimeters. I like to do rounded corners. You can do sharp corners too if you like. And again, this is now doing its own little bit of a hissy fit, and that's okay, because over here it's given us our thickness. Now if you want, you can make it thinner, you can make it thicker, whatever works for you. I'm just going to go with this and click apply. Okay, hooray, look at that, perfect. Now you can see all of these different colors are up here, okay? So if you do get confused by whatever, like that grey is a little bit too like the other one, and these colors don't really, they don't really matter. They're just a way of Cricut to separate all your maths, okay? So use whatever colors work for you. All I want to do is I really want to highlight the fact that we're going to be getting this yellow and we're going to be cutting it through this kind of a mint color. So to do that, I might just hide this because I don't need it at the moment, and I'm going to select this top one. You have to make sure it's, well, you don't have to be on the top, but it makes it better. Have that on the top and then select the next one. Now the most important thing that you need to know is that you have to, you only can have 2 slices, okay? So this slice is basically scissors, so chop, chop, chop. You have 2 things for your scissors, okay? Then you click that slice. If you try and do more than 2, it's not going to work. So either you have to weld it together, so merging 2 shapes together to create one, and then putting another one on top to then slice it. That's the way to do it. Now it looks like it didn't do it. There we go. Did it work? I don't know if that worked. No. Oh, is it having a little, it's having a little hissy fit. Come on. Maybe it's, let me just go back here and I'll click apply. And I'm just going to save this too, because Cricut, we don't want Cricut to die and then it goes, no, you haven't saved it. So Cricut has a bit of a mind of its own. But overall, it is pretty good. All right, let's see. This is the fun thing about doing lives, isn't it? You get to see all the fun stuff. Okay, that's having a little hissy fit. Let's move on to this one. I hope it's not too choppy and changey for you. At least we'll get one done today. So again, same thing. So let's say we change this to be yellow, and I'm sure it wasn't the color that made it upset, having a bit of a cry. So I'm going to hide that top one. Another little trick that you mightn't know is, do you see this little tiny kind of little cut mark? Now that's like, it's fine, you can keep it, but if you want to get rid of it, the best way of doing it is doing your contour. And I don't know if anyone knows this, but it's a pretty cool thing. It basically just selects all the kind of shapes, and so I want to just get rid of that little guy, which is there, and then I just close it, and then all of a sudden it's like a little magic tool, it just goes away. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to get this and I'm going to basically chop it out of this nan. So to do that, I'm going to select that and I'm going to hold shift and select the nan, and I'm going to go slice, and hopefully it works. Did it work? Oh my god, what is going on? It is not happy today. Come on, you can do. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm being very impatient. Okay, So you can see now that all these kind of cut marks have happened, which actually looks very scary, but it isn't scary at all. The most important thing is basically you just want this pink part here, okay? So if I hide that, and then because I've also hidden this guy here is the text, if I put that to the front, you can see it there. I want to hide that because I want to keep it. Everything else though I want to get rid of, so I can just highlight over and I can delete, and then hopefully there's my cutout. Hey, and there is my text, and that's it. How cool is that? Okay. Pretty cool, huh? And I have actually seen a few tutorials that make this look way harder than it is, and I don't really know why they do make it harder, because this basically gives you everything you want. All you're doing is you're just basically putting a line around your skinny text, and so you can see it here. So when Cricut, when you cut this on the Cricut, it's going to cut this, and it's going to cut the black text, and I'm going to actually cut these by hand, or I'm going to get the girls to cut these by hand. So I'm not going to bother cutting those because they might be a little bit too big for my machine, and because they're just so straight and little skinny things, you don't really need to bother cutting them. And if I click make it, so you can see that I've got, okay, hold on a second, it looks like it's a bit too big, so let's just make sure. And this is very important. I skipped this part. So this is where you shouldn't skip. You can do your template and do basic, do this, and I'm sure there's lots of great ways of, here we are. So we want custom. Come on. And the little lock button, I'm going to untick that. I'm going to type in 30 and 14, and I can do like grey. And if I zoom out, yeah. So what was wrong is that when I brought in from Cricut, from Canva, all the C words, it basically, it was too big. So you can do it by having this kind of like canvas size here, or how I also like to do it is by going up here to see your measurements. You can just type in 30, and it should, that's pretty close. That's like 13.98. If you want to be exact, you can just do 14. Just unlock the thing, and now it's perfect. So now if you do make that mistake, which everybody does, don't worry, you'll see that your text is the correct size. You see these are your mats. So this is how Cricut does it, based on your colors. It doesn't really mean that this has to be pink or has to be black or has to be whatever color. You have then, like for this one, I'm going to get the girls to put it into the Cricut and cut out the chrome vinyl, and then the black one I'm going to do the dark grey glitter, and with the blue one, this one is actually going to be the glitter too, so you don't need to worry about it. So I'm going to click cancel. I'm really happy with how this is all going to look though. I know this is going to be perfect, so I'm going to give them that file and they can just do that on Monday. So cancel, because remember, when you make it, you don't actually have to make it. You can just save this and it'll be perfect. So that is it. So well done, everybody. Hopefully it'll be well done when you do try and do it yourself. It's saved. I'm good. I'm going to close, well, I'll just put it aside for a moment. how is this one going? This one's having a little bit of a hissy fit. Okay, so look, Cricut does it every so often. I'm going to just close it. I'll quit that. And it's good that it happens to me. So when it happens to you, you know that, well, these things do happen. And if you have your project saved, which hopefully you do, you can go to Home and you can find the saved one. So I've got it here. And this is actually probably really great that you're getting to see the reality of what happens when these things happen. So you can just customize if you want to go back into your saved project, which I kind of think sounds a bit weird. I think you should just say open. Okay, so it was having issues with this. So look, you know, I can show you how it, if I go back to my if I go back to Home, I can show you how it actually looks when I did it earlier. Hopefully I did actually save it properly. Customize. Oh, hold on. The joy. Oh yeah, there you go. So this is what I did earlier. I think it's just probably my computer's just having a bit of a hissy fit. So you can see how it can chop out. It's basically exactly the same thing as what I did earlier with the Nana or the Nan. So the same concept. You can do exactly this. You just might have to wait a little bit if you do have a complicated font like this. So if anybody wants to hang around, I'll quickly show you how you can do something with that grandma by just chopping it out. Okay, so if you are on an iPad and you don't so if you are here and your offset isn't working, this is another really cool option for you to do. So I'll click customize. And remember, you are going to be able to watch this again and again and again as much as you want. Just open it up, click pause, rewind, look at, zoom in and figure out what on earth. And if you are stuck at all, just please always reach out. We are always here to help you. So another thing that some people do is they chop the letter. Okay, so that could be a really cool thing to do. So I'm going to grab all of that text and okay, I'm going to do something that graphic designers are never allowed to do, and I would highly advise you most of the time not to do it. But for this kind of thing to look okay, you have to kind of make the letters quite tall. And if you can find fonts that are super tall, that's great. It's definitely much better than doing this, but this is very sneaky and should only be done with being very careful. So you can unlock the proportions, which you can't do in Canva. Canva do not allow you to do it. And then you can stretch it. Oh, it's a bit naughty. You're not meant to do this. Okay, but it looks okay. So we'll stretch it a little bit, not too much. We won't show Mel Murdoch. She'll kill me. And she's a graphic designer too. So I've got a much taller version of this font. Now I'm going to get this panel here. I'm going to Apple C and Apple V. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to slice through the middle of this. And I'm going to unlock the proportions and I'm going to chop it through here. Now what we'll do is, and it kind of depends on the name, but this should look okay. It should be pretty legible. So if I pop it over here, and you can see that it's hidden, it's because it's underneath the layer. So always make sure you look at your layers over here on the right hand side and make sure that whatever you're struggling to see is actually on the top. So I'm going to bring this down here. Now I have a little bit of room here. Okay, so you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can do whatever you want with it. it just means, yeah, look, it's probably, and I'll zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see. You could probably bring it down a tiniest bit, but the L, you just have to keep an eye on here. You have to keep an eye on this little descenders. So we're probably kind of okay. We might want to make it a little bit bigger. And every word will be a little bit different. So let's just, for the sake of it, let's say we're happy with that. Now, what we're going to do, basically like this, the offset, but this is for people who don't have an iPad, or sorry, who have an iPad or an iPhone and you don't have the offset feature. I'm going to select this and I'm going to select these two. So you can see that these two layers are selected. Now I'm going to slice and give it a second. Make sure we don't cause it to crash. Okay, now you can see that we've got some funny stuff happening. It just means that they all go into the same color. So if I want to, I'm just going to hide the things that I definitely want. So, oh, now see. Yeah, so this is the hardest part. It's just actually knowing what is it that you want. So sometimes if I really want to get basic, I'll just hide. I'll hide. No, so I want that, so I will show it. I will hide. Aha, there we go. We've got it, okay? So if you see all these hidden layers, you can now click and delete. Click and delete. Click and delete. Now, of course, you can multi-select them too if you want. I'm going to zoom out. Now, what do you notice that is a bit funny? We haven't got enough padding up here. So if I select this, and you can make it up here, so you can change this to be, I'm going to say maybe we'll only do 3, and then that, because proportions are on, that locked everything. So I'm going to open it all up, and I'm going to unlock it. Always make sure to unlock if you want to keep the width, but not the height. And do that, and then with this one, same thing, unlock. And it's usually nice to kind of keep it to a similar thing in terms of like the size of the top and the bottom. Now remember, I can go to my templates and I can search for that basic template, and this template doesn't get cut, doesn't get put into your kind of cutting bit. It's only for reference. So it is good. It's a handy little thing. Of course, you can always like do other things. I used to just draw a panel before I knew about that. And I'm going to select gray. Okay, so now I know that this is my door sign. And bring that up. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this bottom panel, bring that down here. And remember, you can always align. So that's another good one. So line horizontally is like that, and bring it out there. And then I usually just kind of like eye it up, and that actually looks pretty good. So we don't have to do much to it. And that's pretty much it. Now, if I want to make that basic canvas, if I just do white, I can do that. And it looks pretty good, and it depends on what it is that you're doing. This might be a better one for dad, it might be a better one for other names. You just want to make sure that this grandma will actually look like grandma when you do see it. So play around it. You maybe choose different fonts. You can do all sorts of different things, but I definitely do think that the ones that we're going to be doing on Monday, hopefully, if all of the stars align, will look really, really wonderful, and it will make, it's really cool as a door sign. It's really cool. You could do like a t-shirt with it. You could do like an apron. You could do all sorts of different things with it. It's a really great great kind of tool to learn. So we're an hour. I'm ready for a glass of wine. I hope you guys have learned a lot. I hope I haven't talked your ear off too much. And I'm going to head off for tonight. And let me know in the comments below if you liked it, what you liked the most, what did you learn, what would you like to learn next time? Is there anything that I really confused you about? Anything at all. And I'm so happy to catch up again in our next crafting session.